It's all single prize Pokemon. You still have the opportunity to use the Kyogre, but it only plays the water and the psychic energies. So going to be a little more streamlined, always trying to win that prize exchange. And I'm curious to see how this works with the different Pokemon that we see in the list. Could certainly be seeing a lot of that Articuno in a matchup like this, where you don't really see your opponent switching out.
Yeah, it has been the bane of Lugia's existence, and that's status conditions ever since the break in the armor, as we saw with the last format.
Yep.
Not really playing a lot of switch cards. Regan does play one copy of Penny, so you can be able to pick up a basic Pokemon, but if that Lugia V-Star gets caught in the active spot and gets paralyzed, you're not really going to be able to do much until next turn.
Well, you can't do much if you prize your Radiant Greninja along with your Kyogre and one of those Colress experiments. Not too strong there. Double Judge Research for Regan. Part of that Urshifu VMAX, which I don't think you usually see in a matchup like this.
You want that in the prize cards. Yeah. Like, that's the perfect spot for it, right up at the top.
You hang out up there, buddy. This could be tricky for Jonathan. Certainly could have some decisions to make with the Hisuian Heavy Ball, if that is ever to be found.
We're going to have to try to find it. No way to search out items from your deck. You're just trying to draw it, maybe Pokestop into it. And like you said, there's only single prize attackers in this deck, so no Forest Seal Stone to try to search for that.
I wish I wasn't a fish. That's not the ideal starter there, but at least you're going to go first. See that Capturing Aroma and start things off, and I think we're going to Birdland.
Heads means evolution from the deck. That means Archeops most likely the choice. I saw Regan has an Ultra Ball in hand, so depending on this second Capturing Aroma flip, could be a pretty good turn here.
I feel like I could recite this list in my sleep at this point with how often we've seen not only Regan, but almost every other Lugia player using this list for
oh yeah, it's almost an automatic day two.
It's so consistent, so strong, and look at this hand. This looks like old Lugia. We're going to see another Capturing Aroma, double Ultra Ball, so guaranteeing that we're going to see double Archeops in the discard pile this turn if you do want to use all those resources. And definitely a Lugia to go with it.
Here's the second Capturing Aroma. Tails, so has to find a basic Pokemon now, but hey, it's Lugia V. Now you just need to Ultra Ball away the Archeops, get another Archeops, maybe Ultra Ball that away.
Yep, this may lead to grabbing the Lumineon V and holding onto it with the second Ultra Ball.
You also don't need to do it now. You can wait till next turn. Your opponent's playing Lost Zone box, so Comfey in the active spot. They're not really known for playing any disruption cards, so your hand's pretty safe.
I agree.
Thanks. I get it right sometimes.
I guess we don't have too much information on the other side from Jonathan just yet, but you start to think that as the field gets condensed, players do start to remember what everyone else is playing. It's like, oh, I've seen that cool hat before. I know that guy.
Usually
might
we
have some
see
information.
A lot of, or like a lightning attacker thrown into these single prize Lost Zone decks to deal with Lugia, but the way Jonathan's built his list, it seems more streamlined against the mirror.
Yeah, a lot of these single prize attackers, and also having the ability to use that Halucha when you have the Sableye as well. So often when you're placing the damage counters, you're dealing with Pokemon with 70 hit points. If you're able to soften them up, knock two of them out, you can really surprise your opponent, and maybe they have a difficult time finding those Pokemon once more.
Jonathan starting things off with a Battle VIP Pass, how you would like to in pretty much any deck that plays this card. Eyeing down a couple Comfey.
Well, why not another? Because there's a second Battle VIP Pass hanging out there, along with what, triple Switch Cart is.
That's a full house, Chip.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be turn one Mirage Gate, as this is not the style of deck that can do that. We don't see the Forest Seal Stone or any of those V Pokemon, but we can almost guarantee Cramorant's going to be attacking, even if Colress Experiment's not found.
That requires the fourth Comfey here.
That would be really ugly. Let's not wish that on Jonathan.
with that second Battle VIP pass. Found just the Cramorant. And still has access to all those flower selecting. Like you said, trying to find the supporter that makes this deck function, Colress's Experiment.
Yeah, we've seen players often switching to playing some Pokegears in the list to make sure that you can solidify finding the best supporter for this deck, and going to be playing a few of those.
Oh,
on this
no.
list.
Already starting it off bad here. Picked up the top card. And potentially saw the third card on top of the deck.
This was on top, so this should have been that's the third.
All right. If the information wasn't revealed to
Sorry about that.
Jonathan, then should be okay to continue on.
Was
Looks like no harm, no foul.
Which part? Flower selector?
We do see the nest ball still being held onto in this situation.
Wow. Another Battle VIP pass, but
Well, if you wanted 17 Pokemon, you'd have them, but we don't.
the list only plays 14, Kyle.
I'm never good with math. I'm
It's
starting to
Escape rope
worry.
now.
This could be bad if we don't see another one here.
Listen, that's why we have the nest ball, the fourth Comfey.
I guess that is the bailout button. That feels awful.
Not even an energy to retreat here either. Gonna be forced to use that switch cart.
I mean, is dealing 110 damage to this Lugia that good?
I think with the way the list is built, yes. Like, you're going to have 4 in the loss zone. Next turn, you can Mirage Gate potentially to something like that Snorlax. Be able to take the KO.
He went out from
Just look at the board state.
For Comfey in play now. And Jonathan getting to 4 in the loss zone the hard way.
Well, energy or Colress Experiment would be ideal.
I
Looks
think
like
it's another escape rope.
escape rope found.
That's not that good, especially with the penny in Regan's hand. Can penny up that Luminion.
Wow, yeah, that'd be terrible. A full commitment to this,
no.
and sure enough, just going to attack into the Luminion V with the most ridiculous opening bench I have seen in a long time.
Kyle, penny for your thoughts?
Well, we'll see if there's another bird to go along with it.
You got double Ultra Ball, but you need that Lugia V-Star.
Do you lose the whole hand in doing so is the question. I guess you could use the second Ultra Ball. Well, you'll have the Luminion in hand either way.
Yeah, I think Regan's going to be left with the professor's research at the end of this, I think.
I think you actually, no, I think you lose the whole hand going for the Lugia V-Star.
No, because oh yeah, you're going to have to use
Because you use the penny and you hold the Luminion.
Well, no, you hold the professor research. I think it's doable. So you lose the penny, so you go to 2 cards in hand. You get the Archeops, so that's 3.
Well, I guess it just depends on how you
Luminion.
want to play this, because you could penny first and then throw away the Luminion.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I didn't know that's how you wanted to play this. Looks like Regan agrees with you, and he's going to do the same thing, holding on to that research. And it makes sense in this situation. You don't want to have that liability on board if you don't need to. And sure enough, that is the perfect option there.
Double chops on the board now. Going to power up this Lugia V-Star with an extra energy going on the Archeops potentially for a pivot. And Regan just has 1 card in hand, but it's a professor's research for next turn.
Yeah, when your opponent throws away the Luminion V and they have 1 card in hand, you worry.
I'm in danger.
Wow, I mean, that's absolutely brutal to think about. All of those flower selectings, what, upwards of 4 or 5 switching effects, something ridiculous. And it led to 0 damage, a V Pokemon that got full use and is now off the board, and a knockout on your only attacker.
Listen, it's Comfey against the world here. Draw for the turn. Doesn't look like much. We're going to flower selecting yet again. Can we find Colress Experiment? The first energy to go along with an energy recycler. I think you need the energy just so you can retreat. You're already down 2 escape rope, 2 switch cart. Retreat, flower selecting yet again. Colossus Experiment switch card.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, Colossus Experiment. There we go.
Okay. Well, now you start to worry, are there enough switching cards
Oh, there's not.
to even do anything afterwards? You've
Yes.
already retreated for the turn.
Escape rope in the prize cards, too.
Wow. Looks like Pokestop found there, so could spin the wheel to try to get some help.
Yeah.
But this
I just
is
want to make sure.
this is likely a pass of the turn too after this.
Regan keeping an eye on the resources that Jonathan's used for these couple of turns.
One energy already attached to turn.
He's already attached for the turn. Throws away the Pokestop and that Poke Gear.
This is a dangerous spot. You've finally got to 7 cards in the lost zone. You can search out one of your attackers if you'd like. You have that Mirage Gate if you want to get it ready to attack. But Regan has opportunities here. Any way to bring out another Luminion means boss's orders. And then he could just target down the threats as they come about. And if you've already attached those energies there, they're gone.
With 8 in the lost zone, that means Mirage Gate's available,
So one here, one there.
but has already retreated for the turn.
I manually retreated this turn.
Considering energy active, but with the retreat already, wisely going to put that on a benched Comfey.
I think it's just going to be a pass.
Yeah, you can't do much else here. You could always use into the Mirage Gate, but then you really lose to boss's orders. I like just moving on from this state, and hopefully you don't see that Articuno fall.
Regan also has a choice next turn. Got the Judge from the prize cards. So the 2 cards in Regan's hand, Professor's Research, Judge. There's that pass. Regan draws for the turn here. The Guard Energy not going to do much of anything. How much do you value putting your opponent down 2 cards? They just played their first Chorus.
Could always play that energy down on an Archeops, thinking about pivoting. Can actually play that on the Lugia V, considering eventual retreating. What a hand here. Found a couple of different attacking options, but not ideal. Urn of Vitality, double Archeops as well. Kind of clunky.
Regan does have to think about that Articuno sitting on the bench, ready to get that paralysis on the Lugia V-Star as soon as next turn with just 1 water energy.
Yeah, one of the best cards to see off of that research would have been a Lugia V. You can always attack with that, knock out a Comfey. Then you're not worried about the paralysis of the Articuno. You can always evolve out of that and take the knockout. So missing there, a little unfortunate.
To see the Primal Turbo, though, finding those single strike energy to attach to that Tyranitar V on the bench.
Tried and true strategy against the Lost Box is to just Cragalanche. Try to get rid of some of those valuable resources. It's a forced Pokestop that sometimes gets rid of the good stuff.
To be fair, Pokestop also gets rid of the good stuff a lot of the times.
I agree.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot. it's one of the more dangerous cards in the format.
That's why Pokemon Go has that little warning in the beginning, like, beware your surroundings.
It's dangerous out here.
Second Primal Turbo, grabbing just another energy. Going with the 1-1 strat instead of just 2-0.
Yeah, a little shuffle in between two. And at this stage, unable to knock out the Articuno. I've already seen a supporter. You're going to take the knockout on the active there. Going to feel comfortable just taking that prize card. A lot left for Jonathan to do, but at least has that Articuno that could slow things down for a couple turns.
You see that Roxanne in hand, but is at least 1 turn away from using that. Another escape rope found off this flower selecting along with a psychic energy. Gets rid of the escape rope. That means there's 0 left in the deck. Attach that water energy to the Articuno, and we're going to see a wild freeze. 70 damage to your opponent's active, 50 to yourself, but your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And with the way the list works out, Regan is unable to get that Lugia V-Star out of the active spot.
Oh, well, that's fun. Now, in this iteration, there is the Radiant Serena that can help out in slowing down the progression of damage. You can remove 20 from this Pokemon continually each turn, and that's going to help to at least see Articuno likely knock itself out, or Jonathan having to switch to a different attacker if he wants to try to get anywhere close to a knockout here.
I think with the way the math works out, you still are able to Wild Freeze twice and then take the knockout with Snorlax. The Lugia V-Star is going to have 180 HP left. But Jonathan's going to have it. And so far, the way this game's been going, seems like Jonathan hasn't been having much of anything other than Comface. The third single strike energy on the Tyranitar V on the bench. Regan just waiting until he gets a chance to attack again.
It's a position that Lugia has not been in a little while. We've seen the emergency jelly be an issue against these decks for the Articuno, and it's not going to be a card featured in this list, so just going to be looking at one more Wild Freeze. So meanwhile, just going to set up a secondary attacker, consider all the healing, and continue to look through the deck, find some more resources.
And there's the pass of the turn. Paralysis gets healed off as it only lasts for your opponent's turn. Jonathan has the Nest Ball. Will be able to grab basic Pokemon, finding that Snorlax.
Wow, yeah, the math works out perfectly for the Snorlax.
That's what I said.
I like that. Good job, Jeremy.
Seems like Jonathan realized something halfway through, but
I think he realized the math works out perfectly for the Snorlax.
Does have that collapsed stadium down, though, so won't be able to play any more Pokemon, at least for now. We're going to see the Pokegear with the deck that thin. You have to wonder where's the Colress's
Don't
experiment.
say that. Okay,
there we go.
There we go.
And that powerful supporter is found yet again. And that'll push Jonathan to over 10 cards in the Lost Zone now, too. Has the Mirage Gate. You don't want to get rid of some of those energies to the Lost Zone if you have it already. Seems to be about 4 left in the deck, so now after this 2.
You can have access to attacking with that Sableye soon. The problem is Sableye doesn't line up very well against these Lugia builds, especially with that Radiant Serena in there.
Yeah, unless you take it out, right?
Yes. I mean, you could always try that. But going after single prize Pokemon in this match feels bad.
Oh, I just meant take it out from the list.
Oh, yeah, Connor. We're looking at you, buddy. Your secret's out.
After that Mirage Gate, just a Wild Freeze. Not even playing the Colress's experiment here.
Regan going to place the damage just to show that he's going to heal it right back off.
Some quick maths.
I like that it was also the
different
colored
color dice, yeah.
It was like it was negative.
Does Regan need to do anything on this turn? Do you boss a Comfey? Do you...
I don't know if it's necessary at this point. You've seen your opponent use a ton of switching effects. You're not terribly worried about your opponent just playing an additional energy down on a Pokemon like Sableye next turn. So forcing them to play the energy onto the Comfey to retreat isn't disastrous by any means. I think you just continue to burn through the deck so that when you do need to take that big knockout, use a boss's orders or whatever, you are closer to finding all those.
Well, there's that Mezagoza. Flip coin if head, search your deck for a Pokemon and put it in your hand. Finds Lugia V-Star. Again, just trying to thin out as much as possible.
Regan going to be paying attention to the amount of Mirage Gate, also the Clara too. Don't want to see that Articuno come back and start to be an issue for your V Pokemon, so wisely going to use the Lugia V in this situation. Going to have that opportunity to attack with this Pokemon and always evolve out of the status condition.
Good old arrow dive. 130 damage. I think
so too.
Yeah.
The issue with this list is the energies to attack with the Lugia V. Usually it's going to have to just be double turbos, which means you're not doing too much relevant damage to Pokemon like Snorlax, but you weren't going to knock it out in one shot anyways, so hopefully you're just targeting down Comphase at that point, taking some free prize cards.
There's the pass of the turn. The paralysis did its job yet again. Jonathan draws Cramorant and has a grip of supporters. Still can't use that Roxanne. Has the knockout on the active with the Snorlax.
That's really good math. Yep, both strategies pretty streamlined from this point on. Just need to knock out these Pokemon, potentially have the Articuno to slow down your opponent over and over again. And finds the Mirage Gate.
Mirage Gate, Recycler, Pokestop, Energy. I think the debate maybe here is between the Pokestop and the Energy. Remember, this is still a Kyogre deck. If you get down to 0 cards in your deck, you can Energy Recycler back a couple of energy and try to take a big Aqua Storm knockout on 2 prize Pokemon.
All right.
And there's the Thumping Snore.
Thumping Snore knockout. It's always cool when they wake up. They always do too. Only on stream, as
Especially
we see.
with the lack of switching outs.
Yeah, like it was actually kind of clutch. Probably going to see the knockout either way here, but Regan going to do some calculations. Think about that Kyogre.
I know,
Which
it's
means
scary.
that having access to a card like Judge in this situation would be nice.
We do see that Echoing Horn in the hand for Jonathan. That is a way to bring back something like that Luminion V to be able to get an extra 2 prize cards, since Regan's going to be attacking with one of these 2 prize Pokemon, looking like that Tyranitar V.
So for Regan in this instance, Mezagoza for the Evital would be really strong. You'd have that additional Pokemon on board that would not be 2 additional prize cards, just be that single prize, so Kyogre doesn't immediately close out the game here.
Cragalanche discards Colress's Experiment. Psychic Energy takes the knockout on that Articuno. 5 or 6 cards left in the deck for Jonathan here. Now it's access to Roxanne.
Have we already seen the Evital? Has it gone to the discard pile potentially? Because
I don't think
that
we've
could
seen
be
it.
a big miss with the Echoing Horn for the Luminion. Just to have multiple V Pokemon in play with the escape ropes already being played out.
2 Energy Recycler in the hand now for Jonathan. Has the Mirage Gate, has the Radiant Greninja finally to be able to conceal the cards. So that's 2 cards. Flower Selecting is 2 more. There's the last switch card.
Finds Clara as well, so
Already had one in hand.
I still think it's cool. Well, with the Articuno knocked out, it means that it's going to be available if you need it. And
Oh no.
Hisuian Heavy Ball,
There's the Kyogre.
you have to take that. That's going to lead to Kyogre. There are no cards left in deck. but there's no game on board.
There is not. There's Echoing Horn, but you can only do 250 max with Aqua Storm.
It would have to be the inclusion of Escape Rope, then Echoing Horn, Play Down Luminium. But
The last Escape Rope's in the prize cards.
Yep, as you mentioned, that is not a resource available right here.
And now it's even up on the top.
I haven't supported for turn yet, right?
He's not played a supporter for turn. I guess you can Roxanne this hand. That way you just aren't forced to Aqua Storm this turn.
Yeah. This is one of those interesting plays that you get into. The math didn't line up perfectly, so just going to lose part of the hand, find it back. And I suppose your decision's already made for you if you're going to have to attack with that Snorlax, but would have been nice to see a Sableye worked into the mix, get some damage onto that Lugia V-Star.
So I don't know if it was discarded early, but one of the Sableyes is in the prize cards. Doesn't look like it's in the lost zone there, but here is the 6 from Roxanne for Jonathan. What's he looking for?
Cards in the deck.
What we got there?
That was found. Gonna take an eye, check out those energies, shuffle those back in. All gonna be solid resources to find with that Radiant Greninja while looking to close out.
Still has the Echoing Horn in hand, too. I would love to see that played right now, especially since Regan didn't get a 5th Pokemon on the bench. Plays just one Collapse Stadium that has already been discarded the turn prior, so you don't have to worry about Regan getting rid of it. But we are going to retreat to the Snorlax and thumping a Snore for 180 damage.
Not again.
This
No
Snorlax is not tired at all. Wants to keep eating.
All right, decision time for Regan.
Boss's orders in hand. Gonna use that Radiant Serena to heal off 20 damage, might as well. Mezagoza flips the heads. And we didn't see the Echoing Horn. So that means the bench can still be manipulated, but I think Regan has to find Lumineon V here, which is a little awkward.
Yep. Gonna add that Pokemon to the hand now. This is so close.
Big retreat here. 3 single strike energies off that Tyranitar V. Promotes the Lugia V-Star with the double turbo energy. And now Regan just thinning out the deck and hand a little bit more. That dice is going to be spinning forever. If it keeps spinning, that means we're in a dream, right?
I think so. I've seen that movie once or twice. But with 22 minutes remaining, this has been quite the opening game here of this match. Has the energies remaining to attack with this Lugia V-Star. Plenty of hit points there. But damage to Tyranitar V. Open bench space with the Echoing Horn. Are you smelling what I'm smelling?
Yeah. But I think that's because food's here.
Could certainly be Kyogre time soon.
And Regan opted not to bench it down. That Utah had to have been discarded early.
I'm so worried at this stage. Is there even a way to retreat this Pokemon and get enough energies onto the Kyogre in the same turn?
There's one switch card in the deck.
Okay, well then that has to be it.
Actually, maybe not.
I think I saw 3 in the discard there.
Yeah, one in the
I
lost
see
zone.
the one there at the top. So, gonna take a look. Holucha doesn't help any math at this point.
It's just a Sableye turn? Clara and...
But even then, it has to be Mirage Gate.
This is a tricky couple of turns for Jonathan to navigate through. There is that Clara, and we might see Articuno again? All right.
With the Mirage Gate, you could always get the energy back onto that Pokemon, put the Psychic Energy onto the Comfey, use that as the retreating option, and then attack with this Articuno. Looking to buy 2 turns, soften up these Pokemon, and then try to close out with Sableye, but that's not going to be enough damage.
Yeah, that Radiant Serena healing off 40 damage a turn, essentially. Only grabs the 1 with Mirage Gate.
There's only 3 cards left. There's not enough resources. Jonathan recognizing that and is going to move on here, scooping this game, and with 20 minutes remaining, Regan going to be up in the series so far.
It feels like Jonathan had the advantage in that game the couple of turns before those last final ones, but just had to use so many resources earlier on with those escape ropes and switch carts, not finding the Colossus experiment until far later into turn 2.
Yeah, we saw a lot of situations with flower selecting where the switching option was not selected and sent to the lost zone, and I think those came back to bite him, as just did not have the resources to close out in those situations. Needed to always have that Pokemon to switch with, maybe even playing down energies onto those Comfeys preemptively would have been solid in those positions where we saw just the Snorlax on the bench and the Articuno in the active. And not going to have the energies to close out, not going to have the resources at all, and now you're fighting to potentially steal 1 match point here with 20 minutes remaining. That can be tricky with this single prize deck too.
Yeah, I mean, just this matchup in general, you don't have any weakness advantage with something like a Raikou V or even a Zeraora, and you're just kind of stuck there going, all right, well, I'm going to have to Articuno, Snorlax. It's the same game plan. It's a great one, but for 18 minutes, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it takes way too long. Radiant Serena also starts to mess that up a little bit too. And if Regan finds the right resources, there were strategies there. There was always that Lugia plan. Just wasn't able to find that on the turn with the Professor's research, digging for that Pokemon. Instead had to go for the Tyranitar, and that led to a couple extra turns for Jonathan, but ultimately was not able to close things out there in the opening game.
Regan doing Regan things, winning with Lugia.
Does that a lot.
A lot.
Yeah. Still love to see both players having a great time there, chatting it up, talking about how Jonathan would have potentially closed that game out if he had the resources, and the prize cards were a little bit brutal there.
Radiant Greninja, Sableye, and Kyogre. The last card in the deck was the Hisuian Heavy Ball.
The escape rope that could have desperately helped close things out there.
And the Echoing Horn Colossus experiment. All 6 cards, honestly.
Well, we will wish both players a little better luck in that regard, as we have about 17 minutes starting things off here in the second game. And a tie in this would not be bad for either player. Obviously, Regan would not like that, but you still have that additional point, and then you have the win-in opportunity next round at 32 points.
A card fell out and it flipped over.
Looks like a card flipped over before the prize cards were placed. That's an easy fix. You randomize the deck, place them down again.
I've seen a lot of that on stream.
Yeah. Thankfully, this one was before the game started, so I don't think it's going to be a double prize loss. Looking at the prize cards for Regan here. Tyranitar, Archeops. Nothing really much going on there. Pretty good.
Doesn't get much better than that. Often in this matchup, when you're playing against the Vs in the Lost Box, you're worried about hitting the optimal numbers and attacking them for knockouts, but seeing that V-Guard energy, you're probably going to be just fine. Double switch cart once more. Running into issues with those switching effects. The Mirage Gate too. This could be better. We got Pokemon this time, Jeremy.
We got Pokemon at least.
Yeah, I'm going
Do
for
we
it.
have
Go,
Colress's
yeah, sure.
Experiment, though? That's the
Right
real
now.
thing.
That
Oh, wow.
little-
Found off the top for next turn. Has the Battle VIP pass. Going to grab a couple Comfey, maybe that Radiant Greninja that was missed so desperately earlier on in Game 1.
You don't think we're going to see 4 Comfey this turn?
No, I don't think we're going to see 4 Comfey.
Fair enough.
Switch cart, Escape Rope in hand as well, so you can get a couple Flower Selectings off if you want.
This could be a very solid second turn. You see, holding on to those resources is going to have that Colress Experiment for next turn. If you get 2 cards in the Lost Zone here, certainly could get to 7. On turn 2, just going to need the triple Comfey that turn.
Jonathan's going to need to pick up the pace a little bit, though. 15 minutes to try to win 2 games here to get 3 match points. And honestly, 15 minutes to win this game to get 1.
I mean, you think about how you close out in a match like this. It is that huge Kyogre turn, taking those V knockouts, maybe even taking 4 prize cards in that single turn. But it takes time to get to that turn, and you could always see that situation where when we get to +3, you just needed 1 extra turn to get the job done.
And that was a pretty big Flower Selecting from Jonathan, too. Had the Mirage Gate Clara, got rid of the Clara, but the important thing is the other one's in the prize cards.
May not have the luxury of using these Pokemon again, so needs to make the most of them here. Mirage Gate for the second turn could be very strong, could have a very aggressive strategy. And with the Radiant Greninja, going to see some additional cards, something that was definitely missed in Game 1.
Does have an energy in hand to use that concealed card to draw 2 cards.
And if you're Regan, just keep giving the thumbs ups. Have a great turn, buddy. Hopefully it lasts 3 minutes every time.
Up to Regan's side of the things now, and this Capturing Aroma needs to flip tails here because this hand is not it, Kyle.
Well, if it flips heads, you at least get to throw away the Archeops with Read the Wind. But I don't like that at all. This is tough.
What is that, 5 energy boss's orders in hand?
Yeah, this would be great if you were playing against Klefki.
Yeah.
That is not our current opponent.
Oh. Looking through the deck, making sure he didn't prize anything too bad. Finds that Archeops. And like you said, we're probably going to go to the library, do a little bit of reading.
I just look at the pictures.
That's why you read comic books, Kyle.
Well, take your time here. Obviously, there's not much else to do this turn. Going to be looking for 3 solid cards there off the top, but you could see a world where you have a Lugia on the bench, you get these Archeops in the discard pile, and then you evolve the benched Lugia, and you just continue to attack with the Arrow Dive, taking knockouts, not worried about Articuno. It's not going to be an option this game if this hand keeps up. You're going to have to evolve, have to sit through those Articunos, but maybe that's a world you want to live in with how much clock is remaining.
I would be very scared if this was game 1 and you don't really know what your Lost Box opponent is playing. But the fact that there's no Forest Sealstone, Dragonite play, this Lugia is safe. There's no way to take a knockout on Jonathan's turn. Finds that Battle VIP pass in hand. Not going to be wanting that right now. Colress's Experiment, 5 off the top. Throw away that 1 easy peasy. Couple energy recycler, and escape rope left. I think you just get rid of an energy, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. We've seen how valuable all those switching effects are. If you want to be able to close this game out, it's going to have to be with that Kyogre helping too. So energy recycler could be nice, and just gotta keep drawing through, keep burning through the deck.
Did concealed cards into Pokestop Kyogre. Flower Selecting, ooh, Sableye and Escape Rope.
Yeah, I like this. Still will have one Sableye remaining, but this might not be a Sableye kind of game, and even if you do need it, it's just to set up enough damage onto a V or V-Star Pokemon so that you could eventually knock it out with the Kyogre. Just deal some damage right now, put the pressure on with this Cramorant. And Regan has shown absolutely nothing so far, so it's going to be on Regan to provide a threat.
Lugia V-Star off the top. That's a threat.
I think we wanted a different bird off the top.
There's an Ultra Ball in hand.
Yeah, Ultra Ball to discard the Archeops would have been fantastic. Instead, could be Solo Chops.
To be honest, I think Solo Chops is good enough.
And with the second Lugia, you could always retreat and attack with the bench Lugia V that we see now. You have the double turbo in hand, and then you just use both energies from the Solo Chop and start to apply some pressure. Heal that Pokemon on the bench. It's okay.
Especially with Jonathan threatening a potential Articuno next turn, attacking with that basic Lugia V, like you've been saying all match, is one of the ways for Regan to play around that paralysis. You just evolve it to that V-Star next turn. Eyeing down a V-Guard energy and a Gift energy.
Just under 10 minutes remaining. Prize card's not going to be the most important thing on Regan's mind. It's all about survival. And Lugia V is going to be the option that helps out there the most.
Meanwhile, the active is going to be voted off the island. Retreating to the bench. And with that double turbo in hand, Arrow Dive taking the knockout. That's 110 damage. Perfect. Perfect math.
Like a Snorlax.
Is there any avenue of boss's orders up the Comfey take the knockout?
I think at this point, when you've seen the Clara issues, you're just content knocking out any Pokemon that can hurt you at this state. So Cramorant seems like a fine knockout. You don't need to overextend.
Cramorant has hurt me in the past. Said some
really
it
wasn't
mean
very
things.
innocent, was it?
Yeah, said some mean things. But
the disrespect.
Sableye off the top for Jonathan. That's the second one. Going to start things off with a flower selecting, though. Looking at switch cart. That's an easy grab.
Yep, nothing guaranteed at this state of the game, but would love to see a few more cards in the Lost Zone. There is a Pokegear there, but thinning down a little more, seeing a few more cards from the deck before using the Pokegear makes a ton of sense. That might be one of the easier options.
Articuno Escape Rope was the choice. Opted for that Articuno. We saw how powerful it was game one, just unfortunately wasn't able to close out the game.
Well, this could be a very important 7 cards soon, so understandably going to use that Mirage Gate first, pull some energies out, and then try to find that Colress's Experiment with the Pokegear.
And with that Water and Psychic on that Radiant Greninja, just the water from hand, will allow it to attack with Moonlight Shuriken. Going to be spreading 90 to 2 Pokemon, most likely the Archeops and that Lugia. You could also damage the active. But then you kind of need to do it again, because Sableye is not going to be able to take the knockout on that Archeops efficiently.
Yeah, this always gets interesting when you have to spread the damage to multiple Pokemon. At this point, you already see the Radiant Serena. You know that you have to capitalize each and every turn. Once you commit to this kind of attack, you know that you just have to use Sableye every turn to close out on those Pokemon, or else it's going to be lost damage.
Pokegear here, look at the top 7, get a supporter. There's that Colress's Experiment. Just under 7 minutes to go. And it's still looking like a long one here for this game too. You can see it start to shape up for Jonathan. The prize map is starting to kind of be laid out in front of you, but just your whole goal is there enough time now?
Jonathan does not seem worried. The pace has been very calm. I'm worried.
You're worried. I'm worried.
Whoa.
This is a
that's
awkward course.
That is
here.
worrisome. A lot of good cards there.
Gets rid of Colossus Experiment. Mirage Gate keeps the Echoing Horn. Mirage Gate, and then I think, what, Energy? Yeah. There's the Sableye.
Pass the turn.
Escape Rope here. This might actually help Regan a little bit.
Yeah, the knockout wasn't guaranteed for that Lugia V. Of course, with that double turbo, it's a little awkward. You can see the 90-90 there, targeting down on that Archeops, putting the pressure on the main way to accelerate any energies.
Ooh, that was a big draw from Regan there. Judge off the top, finally able to escape this handful of energies. That is the worst dice placement I have seen in a while.
These Lugia bots, man.
Yep.
Can't trust them. There's the decision to be made there. Ultra Ball in the hand. Could always go and find a different Pokemon that you'd like to charge up in this instance. Committing energies to the Lugia V-Star does not feel great.
Do Boss's orders the Sableye take the knockout? You've seen one Clara already go to the Lost Zone.
I think that's what Regan is considering. Of course, still not dealing with the Radiant Greninja there, so another Mirage Gate easily leads to the knockout on that Archeops.
There is that Primal Turbo, being able to search your deck for 2 special energies. Going to find that gift along with the double Turbo energy. That means this Lugia V-Star in the active will be able to attack using that Tempest Dive. So Regan has the knockout on anything he wants. Has the boss's orders in hand, though. You also have the option to judge.
This is enough attacks for a 4-minute game of Pokemon. That is all Regan is considering at this point. I think the game could certainly be lost in a situation where you have to play this one all the way out without any Archeops. But when you're only trying to work in maybe 2 or 3 more attacks, that Lugia V, not worried about the Articuno, could always just evolve through that. Then maybe you get to start using some of these manual attachments onto a Pokemon like the Tyranitar. And you could see a world where Regan never loses 6 prize cards.
There is that boss's orders on the Sableye. That's the easier route to take the knockout on Archeops. Regan taking the knockout, goes down to 4 prize cards here. Jonathan still has that handful of 10 cards. But it's just a bunch of Pokemon and some items that you don't really need right now.
Going to be eyeing up that Recycler there. Some additional energies to shuffle back in. Of course, Mirage Gate could help out into bringing those back for the Radiant Greninja. And then you can knock out that Archeops. Problem is you're not dealing with the threat initially there, that Lugia V-Star. Math doesn't line up well enough. That means you're going to have to continue to find more help. And with the Sableye already lost, the Clara issues that you mentioned, cleaning up a Pokemon like this Lugia V-Star that's potentially has 40, 60 hit points, whatever it may be remaining, it doesn't feel great when you're going to have Pokemon like Snorlax and stuff to help out.
Right now, the Lugia has 160 on it, but that Radiant Serena is going to help it heal just a little bit more. I guess there's also the option of Cramorant, but even that doesn't take the knockout here. You're 10 short.
Yeah, just going to continue targeting down these Pokemon. You'll see the Lugia V-Star healed up, and then you could knock that out with the Cramorant. Now, Regan has to just switch over to theme deck status, and I think he's okay doing that. You have one more attack with that Lugia, likely 2 with the benched Lugia, and by then you've already set up your other attacker that you're looking for.
Gets that Lugia V-Star, but is debating about it just because he remembers that Articuno.
I think this is just time recognition, just understanding that I need to have as much hit points as possible out if my opponent is able to go for a crazy thin into Kyogre.
Debating about the nest ball here, does play it, finds that Tyranitar V. Get a single strike energy on there. Eventually it'll be able to attack, and there's the judge finally getting rid of Jonathan's huge hand.
Well, this attack will knock out the Radiant Greninja, leaving just those Comfeys. We've seen a decent amount of switching effects already used, but still plenty left. And now the issue becomes finding a supporter for the turn, as we've seen a few Colors already, one in the lost zone.
All right, you ready, Kyle?
Let's hear it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Beep, 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 beep.
Players, that is time. So normally, if players are in game 3 and time is called and they can't finish the game, it's a tie. The fact that Regan is up the first game here in game 2, if Jonathan is not able to win in the 2 turns he has, Regan will be the winner of this match and go up to 34 match points.
Basically sealing up the top 8. You'd have that ID in the final round, most likely, unless you get paired down. Jonathan has a lot of work to do.
And is honestly one prize card away from doing a big Kyogre Aqua Storm.
And you think about it, Sableye this turn, soften up the Lugia in the active, knock out the Lugia on the bench, then maybe
Echoing Horn.
go into Echoing Horn or Escape Rope, whatever it may be. Try to close out on whichever Pokemon V is remaining. And that Radiant Serena with the Kyogre. But you have to clear 20 cards in the deck in the next 2 turns and have the perfect resources ready to roll.
And we also know Sableye just isn't available to Jonathan. 1 in the prize cards, or 1 in the lost zone, 1 in the discard, and both Clara are gone. Does find a Color's Experiment off this Pokegear, but I think the writing's on the wall, Kyle.
I think so too. It says, "Congratulations, Regan."
Who gave the kids crayons? Huh? Color's Experiment will look at the top 5.
There we go.
That's easy. The others also easy.
I thought that was an easy keep. 20 damage.
Whew.
Yeah, this was one thing I was worried about when we looked at the deck list. Initially, having all these single prize Pokemon can be really cool in a matchup, like playing against other lost boxes, but when you're dealing with these high hit points that keep on the pressure, knock out all of your attackers each and every turn, it's going to put you up against the wall.
Regan healing off a little bit of damage.
I know for a fact there's enough blue dye up there. you don't need to be doing this.
Tempest Dive, and there is the handshake of the concession. Regan Retzloff wins round 14 here with the same Lugia deck for tournaments on tournaments. Makes another potential top 8.
Yeah, it's once again just big news for Regan and this huge introduction to the Masters division that we've seen. One of the best ones we've ever seen throughout all of Pokemon history, and it's going to continue on with that Great to see him just play a Lugia down. That was a problem for quite some time on stream. So able to do that here, and a little bit more, locking in at 34 match points with 1 round to go.
Yeah, and if 34 is the bubble, Jonathan is not out of it just yet, but will need to try to win in the last round for a potential win-and-in scenario.
Yeah, we'll be looking for that. A lot of players that we're going to be keeping our eye on. I want to see how David's doing with that Darker Eye. They were able to take a win against Mew VMAX. That'd be something else. And Andrew Hedrick could potentially be undefeated going into the final round of this tournament.
Yeah, with the tie, but still undefeated. No losses there yet. And honestly, with the tie, I think that's when you start kind of manipulating the top 8 a little bit. You're like, okay, well, I'm playing Mew. I'll probably want this matchup in top. Yeah, you can get the win.
Well, when you've defeated everyone in the tournament, at some point you're just like, I don't really want to play Pokemon against you until top 8, so let's just sign the paper, take a 4-hour lunch break, and I'll see you guys later.
It is pretty crazy how things are wrapping up here in Fresno. That was our penultimate round, round 14, and the players are still looking towards round 15. We've had quite a few different decks, but honestly, the surprise of the tournament has been just Mew dominating at every facet.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be surprised by it anymore, but we always are, because it falls off hard all the time, and then it comes back randomly, and we're like, what happened?
Here's a card to deal with Mew VMAX,
yep.
And then Mew VMAX is like, oh, no.
No, we're good. Mightyena? No.
Another.
Drapion? No, we're good.
Another.
Path?
Another.
We'll just play it. Spiritomb? We'll find out.
I think Japan already
found out.
Yeah,
Japan found out it was not enough, so